should be live. Hello everyone, it is I, GiBi, and I should be live right now. If I am, then that means that you can hopefully hear me. If I'm not, then I'm just talking to myself. Welcome to the first live weekly update for Chris, and it looks like I am in fact live. So everyone in the chat, I'm going to take the next 30 seconds to link this on Twitter so that people can come and watch. Hi within the inkwell, what's up? How you doing? I just got to link this on Twitter and all the other places. So, the reason that I'm doing this video live, I am not going to have a video tomorrow. There's not going to be a weekly update for Chris Chan tomorrow. I'm doing this now instead because I made the video for tomorrow and I lost it. I lost the whole thing. All of the stuff that was going to be in the video is gone. All the recording I did is for naught. So I thought instead of remaking the entire video, because I didn't want to do that, I'm just going to live stream it, and especially because there's been a lot of other updates that have happened recently. In the last couple hours, there's been a lot of other stuff. So I'm really just going to talk about what my original video was about, and then maybe chat about the new stuff involving Chris's alleged sexual harassment, and then I'll be done. This is going to stop at 9 o'clock no matter what, but it might stop earlier if we're done talking through all that stuff. So, I'm basically just going to read out the little script that I'd written for my previous video that was supposed to go up on Sunday. There's a lot of people just joined. If you're just joining, then the reason I'm doing this live stream is because I lost my video that's supposed to be posted tomorrow. So, that video was supposed to be about Chris and fame. It's supposed to be about him and his celebrity, because there were two different stories that happened last week that I think show the two different sides to Chris's fame. One is that he decided to sell his sneakers. He claimed that he needed new sneakers, so he's like, I'm going to go and sell my old ones online. And he put them up for the totally reasonable price of $200 on eBay. $200 for his old sneakers, which were colored his Sonic shoe colors. Twitter user Bio said, $200 for used shoes? No thanks, because he's a reasonable human being. And the big part of the story was Chris's response to this. It was Chris saying, quote, "Celebrity shoes, dude. Hear how much Michael Jordan's kicks go for? Bam!" So the real story is that Chris compared himself and his fame to Michael Jordan. So, yeah. The second part of the story is, of course, because this is Chris, someone bought them. Someone actually bought them. Now, we don't know if he bought them for $200, but that's the price that they were listed at originally, and he bought them within a couple days of them being up, so I don't suspect that Chris would have lowered them. But, yeah, someone bought Chris's old sneakers for $200 and then did an unboxing video. You can watch it on YouTube. Their name is... Let me look it up. I believe it was just like a normal name and then a number. It was Jacob. Jacob S. So if you go on YouTube right now and look up Jacob S., the video is called I Bought the Sonic Shoes. And he does a whole unboxing of them. There's a certificate of authenticity inside from Chris, signed by Chris, saying that he walked in the shoes. And the guy doing the unboxing, Jacob, he describes that the shoes are not well worn, so it doesn't look like Chris actually took them outside very much. And he said that they smelled like lavenders and other flowers, so he believes that Chris smelled them with Febreze, that Chris sprayed them with Febreze. So, this is just a ridiculous story of Chris believing he's a celebrity, and then someone validates his celebrity. Someone actually goes ahead and they spend this money. They spend these $200 to buy Chris's shoes, and Chris gets the money. And you might be thinking, well, hey, someone spent their money that they earned, and they spent the money how they wanted. That is their right to do, and it helps out Chris. And now Chris can use that money to support himself and support his mother and support his cats. And if you know Chris, then you know where this is going, and he did none of those things. And instead, we have our next story, which is that Chris went to GameStop. with his brand new $200 that he got for selling his shoes. And the guy behind the register, the cashier, recognized Chris when he walked in. So he started recording this on his phone. And you can go and you can find this video too. It's called something to the effect of like Chris Chan spotted in the wild. And so Chris walks in and he goes to the shelves and he looks around for a minute. And then he comes back to the cashier and he wants to buy a 2DS, the original 2DS, which goes for about $60. And he wants to buy a Pokeball Plus, which goes for about $50. Because he was just given a Switch by some nice people. Because, hey, if you want to support Chris but you don't want to give him money, just buy him a present. That's fine. You can just buy him a Switch. He's not going to then waste even more money buying accessories and games for the Switch. That could never happen. So Chris spends the shoe money on the Pokeball because thankfully the GameStop was out of 2DSs, or the cashier lied and didn't want to sell it to Chris. Either way, he only spent the $50 on the Pokeball. And you would think that that would be the end of the story, but it is not. Alfred F. Jones says, "Hey boy, hey Alfred, thank you so much for the super chat." So after Chris bought the Pokeball, Smokey Chris put a YouTube link in the chat here. I need to okay that. And yes, so Smokey Chris just posted in the chat a link to the unboxing video, so you should go and watch that. So, while Chris is doing the purchase, so while the cashier guy is typing in all the stuff to sell Chris the Pokeball, Chris starts talking about Sonichu. He's like, hey, I am very famous. I'm going to turn this into a Sonichu ball, a special, I think he called it an S-ball, which is from Sonichu. I'm going to use Crayola Model Magic and, paint and stuff and turn this Pokeball into an S-ball. It's from my Sonichu series. I am very famous. And the guy's like, oh, okay, that's cool, dude. And then Chris thanks him and he leaves. So this is why I love the story so much. Is Chris thought that he was famous enough that he could just go in there and start talking about his Sonichu thing like he was an actual celebrity, which just, on one hand, it shows Chris's delusion. But on the other hand, he actually is that famous because the cashier did recognize him. He filmed him when he walked in. The guy behind the register knew who Chris Chan was when Chris Chan walked in the door. So that sort of does show that Chris is actually that famous, which is insane. It's like this story has no moral. It's like I don't condone people buying Chris's shoes for $200 because that's insane. But at the same time, he obviously is famous enough for some random person to recognize him. Gaming Highway gave me a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, "Ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Ain't nothing gonna hold me down." Thank you guys so much. If you're wondering why you're staring at a black screen right now, it's because my internet is so incredibly bad. I have 3 megabytes down and I think less than 1 megabyte upload speeds. So I literally cannot live stream. Like, I cannot do more than just my voice. And I have to shut down everything else my computer is doing just to be able to do this. So I am actually, I didn't want to talk about this now because the plans are not totally finalized, but on April 1st, I'm actually going to launch my Patreon. And the main goal of that, it's not for profit, it's literally just so that I can get internet so that I can do this. Because it takes me a couple hours to upload Chris Chan videos, like just the 10-minute videos that I upload, those take like something between 5 to 10 hours. And then live streaming, I can't. If I wanted to play a game, if I wanted to have videos on in the background, like we could have sat here and we could have watched those videos and I could have talked over them. But I can't. I literally cannot do that because my internet is just that bad. So I'm going to set up my Patreon and there's going to be some cool reward stuff. And if you want to support me, you want to support my better internet, then you can do that starting on April 1st. I'm going to have a whole announcement video thing to go along with it. So that's where that money is going to. And so that's that whole thing, the GameStop video, this Chris selling his shoes, that's what my video was going to be about tomorrow. 4over0 asks if he can send some fan art, and you can. I love getting fan art. You can send it on my Twitter. I just can't show it on the stream. Alfred F. Jones says, "Sorry, I meant to make it $20. I also have a question. Do you consider yourself a Christorian?" And thank you very much, Alfred, for the $20 super chat. As far as do I consider myself a Christorian, I would say yes, I do. And that's because I've been documenting a lot of the smaller things that Chris has been doing since December. If you ask me about a lot of the stories, about a lot of the things that Chris has done since December, I can tell you. Before that, I'm a little iffy on my knowledge because I haven't read the quickie. I've only really watched the documentary, so my historical Chris Chan knowledge is not that great. But I do document him, and I do know a lot about what he's been doing since I've been following him. Uh, I know that there are some people who don't like that I call myself a historian because I don't know a lot of the finer details, but I personally uh, do. So that's my answer to that question. So, since then, I guess we should talk about this now. There's been a couple updates to things that Chris has done. So I'm going to have to get this up on my screen. Somebody on Twitter, so there's a Twitter user named Aqua, and I don't know exactly what she does, but she must create art or something because Chris follows her and Chris talks to her a lot. Or at the very least, he used to talk to her because she has grown very woke on the Chris Chan situation. She does not like Chris anymore. I remember a couple weeks ago, I think I covered this in one of my videos, but Chris tweeted to her that her character, her OC, really existed in the other dimension. And Aqua said, like, no, no, she doesn't. I created Aqua. She's fictional. She only exists in my brain. And this whole thing is just a delusion you have, Chris. You have to get better. You know, none of this is real. So this Aqua person has been very straightforward with Chris about the whole dimensional merge thing being fake and wanting him to get over his delusion. And so apparently, Aqua has a friend of a friend. So just someone that they know in passing, but that they don't know. I'll say she. I'm going to assume it's a she. Someone that she doesn't know personally, but someone that she is now in contact with, who has been talking to Chris. So I'm going to read out Aqua's tweets. She writes, a friend of a friend who had no idea who Chris Chan was, befriended and conversed with him. She soon discovered what a creep he is. This is mean, but it needs to be done to protect others. So, Aqua released a bunch of text messages back and forth between this unknown third party who's a woman. So we have woman A, and then we have Chris. And they started texting each other. And Chris was up to all of his usual creepy stunts. He called her like names like cutie and darling and dolly and beautiful and stuff like that. Just like all the weird stuff he used to do about he used to do with Megan. If you remember back during the Megan saga, he would like get close to her and touch her and try to do all this stuff, and she kept complaining. In all of her emails, she would say, "Please stop touching me. I don't like it when you touch me. Please stop touching me. Please stop getting close to me. You know I don't think about you like that." And so it seems that Chris is still doing all that same stuff 10 years later because he calls her Dolly and she says, "Please stop calling me that." And then he calls her it again and this woman says, "My name is blank." It's blanked out. "My name is blank. Stop calling me Dolly, please." And then later we have, "For the fifth time, stop calling me that." So Chris is just, being creepy. Now, back when he was doing it with Megan, you could probably put it up to his autism because Chris he didn't understand how to interact with people, especially women, so he thought he was being smooth, he thought he was being nice and giving them compliments, and that I would personally I would excuse his actions back then and not say that there were any malintentions involved. But it gets a little creepier in this situation. So this woman, the unknown woman, apparently worked for McDonald's. And so Chris asked, "What do you wear to work?" Which is kind of weird, out of the blue, whatever. And so the girl described it. She says that she wears a black shirt, a McDonald's hat, black pants and shoes, and a black apron. And then Chris says, "Ooh, can I see?" with like a closed eyes, smiling, blushing emoji. And the girl says, "Sure, let me send you a stock photo of what the employees look like." And then she sends a picture of employees wearing all black with aprons. And Chris says, "No, I mean, can I see you? I'm sure you're very lovely." And then the girl sends the picture and she says, "This is what our uniforms look like." And it's just a stock photo of the black uniforms. And Chris says, all caps, "No, I meant seeing you in the outfit." And she says, "Sorry, I don't feel comfortable showing you that." So it's kind of weird. She says, "I barely talk to you, Christine." And Chris says, "Well, maybe this will make us closer then, lightning heart lightning." So, and then he says, "Bye, Dolly," when she says that she has to go to work. So it's it's just Chris back up to his old stuff, and this person definitely took it as harassment. Especially some more stuff happened later, but it was not good. I'm sorry that I can't really say anything besides not good. But like in topics like this, like I know it's not like the worst kind of sexual harassment, but it definitely is Chris being creepy, and I don't have a response to that besides being creeped out, and I try to remain objective because I have to sit here and I have to tell you guys what's going on, and so I can't really, respond to it the way that I naturally do. But so this is how the story ended. Chris sent her a message, and so it's kind of funny, but it's also really mean. And he said, so I'm gonna read you what Chris said. Right here we go. Quote: "Since you are on the chubbier side, I am wondering something. I am a woman soul, and I require giant boobies. How big are your bra sizes?" And the girl says, "F you, Christine." And Chris says, "What did I do, Dolly?" And she says, "Bye, blocking you. You're officially a creeper. Wow, you stoop so low. Who asks that?" And Chris says, "Two gal pals who love to exchange things about themselves. Don't gals do this? Come on, I'm your lovely gal." And so that's what caused them to stop talking, and that's what caused this girl to come forward. And I think that that's ridiculous. Like, I know that it's terrible, but the reason I laughed is that just like Chris thinking that he can just do this. Like he can just say, "I require giant boobies." Like that's just so funnily worded. But yeah, definitely like an invasion of privacy, especially since they don't really know each other. Hold on. Bright sent me a super chat and said, "What do you relate to the most about Chris?" Whew, that's a tough one. I actually relate to a lot about Chris. More just like his lifestyle more than his actual like past or anything. I know a lot of people who follow me have said things like, "Oh, I've done a lot of stupid stuff in my past, just like Chris." I don't relate to that kind of stuff as much. It's more that my living situation is similar to Chris's. Like I live with, well, my parents are divorced, so that's like it's not like I know Chris's father died, but the reason I live with my mother is because my parents are divorced. My dad lives somewhere else, but I live with my mother and my grandmother, and my grandmother is very old and very sick, and she's dying. And I lost my job a couple months ago in January, so I've just been doing this YouTube stuff, so I don't have a real job, quote unquote. And I really like playing with Legos, and I love video games, and I love stuff like Pokemon and things like that. And so around the time that all this stuff was happening, so I actually, as a graduation present from my grandparents, I got a gift certificate to Barnes and Nobles. And I'm like, well, I don't really read books. I listen to audiobooks on YouTube and Audible and stuff like that. So I don't really need any physical books. So I went to Barnes and Nobles and I spent the gift card on Legos and on Star Wars Legos because I'm not some creep who plays with kids' toys. I play with collectibles. So I got some Star Wars Legos at Barnes and Nobles, and so I'm just like this 23-year-old guy playing with Legos. And it was soon after that that I stumbled on Chris Chan, and I'm like, wow, I really need to get a job and stop doing this because I don't want to end up like him. So that's really, I just feel like I'm very close that something could happen to me. If I like lost my grip on reality just like him, then I could totally fall into his lifestyle, like his living in filth, his being crazy, him, being crazy for the world to see, all that kind of stuff, doing it for attention. Like I think that's something a lot of people could do. It's kind of like porn, right? It's like it's so easy and anyone can do it, but you need to like there's dignity involved in not. I don't want to like insult people who do porn, so I'm trying to say this nicely. But it's like you sort of lose your dignity if you do it, or some people would think that they would lose their dignity if they did it. But it's something that anyone can do, and that would be seeking validation and seeking attention in just being crazy online and putting yourself out there like Chris does. Starfan asks, how is it like porn? Well, I hope I just explained it well. If I didn't explain it well enough, then please mention it. But yeah, I think that a lot of people would end up being Chris if their lives were worse off. Bright says, thank you for the super chat. Says, I relate to you a lot. What motivates you? Ooh, that's good. I would say that what motivates me? That's a kind of a hard question. I would say that what makes me happy, because I guess you could say that happiness motivates me, or that wanting to achieve my goals motivates me. And so the goals that I have and the things that make me happy are spending time with loved ones in peaceful situations. So just admiring the small things, like on Sundays I usually go and I hang out at my one friend's house because all of my friends have jobs or are in school, and so Sunday is really the only day when we can all be together. And so I really cherish those Sundays, and I get to go and I get to talk to them and hang out, and everyone's free, and we all get to just sit down. And these are my friends that I've been friends with since middle school. So it's like, hey, we're all still here. It's been like 10 years, and we're all still friends, and we're all still friendly, and everything's still going relatively okay in our lives. And that makes me happy, and throughout the rest of the week, that motivates me to get to the next Sunday. Other things, like on Tuesdays, I usually go to the movies, and it doesn't matter if there's something good out or not, I'll go to the movie, and I'll be by myself for 2 hours and just lose myself in some other world. And that's fun, and it's something to look forward to. So I'd say that what motivates me is looking forward to things that are peaceful, looking forward to things that can help me escape the hardships that I'm going through, and hopefully eventually escaping the hardships that I'm going through, because I am going through quite a lot, and I hope that it's not all like I I I feel I have like a chronic pain, like there's a chronic physical pain that I'm currently in, and I hope that I don't have that for the rest of my life, and so I hope that one day that goes away, and it does go away when I do happy things. And so I look forward to the happy things in my week that make the pain go away, and I look forward to the day when it'll be gone forever. So I'll say that that's what motivates me. There's a lot of stuff going on in the chat right now, but people are talking about the ghost video, so I guess I'll talk about the ghost video. So, if anyone doesn't know, a group of people, there were 3 people involved. Don't know who they are. Maybe they're people that the Kiwi Farms knows exists, but I didn't know that they existed. I got no idea who they are. They just uploaded a video of them going to this abandoned asylum with Chris. So there's like graffiti everywhere, and it's supposed to be haunted. And apparently, whoever used to run the asylum practiced eugenics and stuff. And so these people, they get Chris to go to the asylum, and they film him. And he of course just has all of his funny reactions to stuff, like, oh, I can talk to spirits on the other side, and oh yeah, the dimensional merge is real, and it's gonna happen soon. So I think he actually said it'll happen like soon, like as in a couple days. If someone, I don't know if Smokey's still here, but if someone can post this in the chat, I'll okay it so that other people can watch the video, or at least look at the video. But so the main thing that I'm going to focus on, because this is going to be my topic for my next update. I'm going to be doing Christian updates on Fridays now, just because I think doing it at the end of the week is better than doing it on a Sunday. Oh, here we go. Someone just posted the link to the video. Or I hope it's a link to the video. Whenever I okay a link, I'm hoping it's not like a Rickroll or something. That would be funny. Yeah, that's it. Hunting with Chris Chan. So, whoever do you actually believe in the dimensional merge? Is it real? I'm not really a believer, but am I going to meet my OCs? And so Chris is talking about his OCs. And the guy driving, who obviously led the whole thing, he starts explaining to his friends that, like, oh, an OC is a fictional character. So Chris says OC, and the guy turns to his friend and says fictional character. So clearly, like, the cameraman isn't as up to Chris Chan lore as the guy who started this whole thing is. But one of the guys in the back seat, he's obviously been like around the whole scenario. He obviously knows about my video because he asks Chris. He says, "Do you think it's possible that your whole dimensional merge thing could be dreams that you're having due to your medication?" Which has obviously been my theory. And I was already working on a video about that, an update video about that. Oh, someone said the stream went down and it's back. Sorry about that. I don't know where I left off, but someone asked Chris if he thought the dimensional merge might possibly be due to dreams that he was having due to his medication, and Chris basically says no. He's like, "Oh, I have normal dreams. I have normal dreams and nightmares," and we know that that's not true because Chris has posted on Twitter before that he has really strange dreams, and he says that he crosses over to the other dimension at night. So I still don't believe him, and I still do think that the medication plays a big role in it. And I now sort of have evidence because if you go on the quickie, it actually talks about the medication that Chris is on, and that medication does cause the dream symptoms that I was talking about in my original video. My original video was basically just saying, "Hey, I'm on an anti-anxiety medication. It causes these side effects. If I was delusional, I might believe the side effects in the dreams are real, and I might believe in a dimensional merge like Chris. So if Chris is on a similar drug, he might be experiencing these symptoms." The quickie says that he is on a similar drug. So as far as I'm concerned, that is a very good point in favor of my theory. Bright says, "Please get checked for an autoimmune disease. It explained my daily pain, and I got meds that help." I'm going to write that down, an autoimmune disease. I don't know, like, what exactly that would, like, I don't know if that kind of stuff's hereditary, if that's something that you have to, like, catch or whatever. I'm only 23. I don't know when that kind of stuff happens. But I will definitely ask my doctor about it because I'm about to see him. Thank you very much, both for the super chat and for that advice. Thank you. Someone earlier said that Drakenlord did a video about Chris. Yeah, here we go. Ulfer Johnson said, or sorry, I can't pronounce, Johnson? Sorry. Said, Drakenlord made a video about Chris, the ultimate crossover. If that's true, then I might actually have to finally do a video about Drakenlord. That would be crazy. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe to PewDiePie. He already lost. It's over, man. I'm going to actually look and see if Drakenlord Chris Chan, because that might be a video that I do soon. I don't see anything, but I'll look at it more later. It's definitely hereditary. Yeah, I'll look at it. I'll look into the autoimmune thing later. I know that a lot of stuff runs in my family, but I don't know about that. Watch the Mad Lads video about Drakenlord. I will do that, Mad Lads. You know, there's so many great channels on YouTube that just talk about this. There's so many great channels. There's also so many channels that talk about these kind of things, and I really have to say one of my favorites is Legends of the Internet. And at the moment, they only have around 3,000 subscribers. And they've been going for like 4 seasons, which is like 3 years. And they talk about Chris Chan, they talk about Darkside Phil, they talk about Tommy Wiseau, a bunch of stuff like that. And they've talked about really famous people, they've talked about some obscure things, and they're just a really interesting podcast. And I could not, I mean, yeah, I couldn't recommend them more. They're currently on hiatus, but I hope that they get back to it soon, and I hope that the guy who's doing it gets back to his old ways and feels better soon. Have you watched Down the Rabbit Hole? Yes, I love Down the Rabbit Hole. I could never do the kind of research and the kind of editing that Down the Rabbit Hole does. That's just like next level, like truly documentary style, next level. Retro Gaming Genesis asks if GiBi is my real name, and unfortunately, I was not blessed with the name GiBi. My real name is Devin. It's on my Twitter. It's GIBI_Devin. GiBi is actually just an acronym for Good Idea, Bad Idea, which is something that I stole from the Animaniacs, because they would have these little bits where they would show someone doing a good idea, like looking both ways before crossing the street, and then a bad idea, like car surfing, and then the guy who had the good idea would walk across the street and everything would be fine, and the guy doing the bad idea would, like, hit his head and fall off the car or something like that. It was like a little slapstick thing. And so that's where I got the acronym from. And I wanted to make videos where I would look at good decisions that people have made. Like, oh, here's a great decision. Let's hire Robert Downey Jr. to play Iron Man, because that was a really risky move, because he was like an alcoholic and a drug addict, but it ended up being a fantastic move, and so I could do a video about how that was a good idea. And then, like, oh, here's a bad idea. Let's make The Force Awakens the way it was and kill off Han Solo. Like, that's not good, and I hate you, J.J. Abrams. Whatever. Still not salty about that or anything. But that was the original conceit of my channel, and I did that for about a year. And then I made a video about Chris-chan, and the idea was like, oh, here's a little Chris-chan update about the whole dimensional merge. This is right when I had heard about the dimensional merge, and I'm like, this guy is crazy. Like, he used to believe, he used to do all this weird stuff. Obviously, there's so many stories about Chris, and all of the sagas are so interesting. But all of this crazy dimensional merge stuff is just too much, and no one else was talking about it. Or at least none of the big people who I watched were talking about it. So I'm like, I just got to make a video about this. And that video blew up, and so that's sort of how I got to be known as the Chris-chan guy. But I still do other stuff. I still have my absurd series, which is just looking at other crazy people. Someone asked if it was spelled D-V-I-N or D-V-O-N. It's spelled with an O. So I still have my absurd series, and the latest video was about JonTron and Phil Swift, because Phil Swift is hilarious, and he is exactly the kind of crazy person that I love. And the next video is going to be about a very small YouTuber who only has a couple of thousand subscribers, and that should come probably on Tuesday. What saga do you feel best exemplifies Chris's poor character? Asks Rex Ferguson. Chris's poor character? A lot of them exemplify his good character, like when somebody convinced him to drive like 500 miles to save one of his girlfriends that didn't exist. Like, that's obviously rash behavior, but like that's honorable and that's a good thing. But his worst behavior, I mean, probably the issue of Sonichu, where he got revenge on all of his trolls. I know that's not exactly a saga, but it could be seen as like the end of like the Clyde Cash saga or something, because he in the comic he just goes and he brutally murders all of these characters that are based on real people, and that's like terrible. The channel Wang covers a lot of internet absurdities. He's yet to speak on Chris-chan. Wang, I'll have to look that up. One of the things I try to do is I don't want to cover things that like everyone else has covered. Like, everyone's asking me, oh, you should cover Temple OS, or you should cover the Time Cube. And I'm like, oh, but everyone else has already done that. Everyone else already did the Final Fantasy house. There's nothing that I can add that Down the Rabbit Hole didn't already do. And most of my sources would probably be down the rabbit hole anyway, so I don't necessarily want to do videos like that. I want to be able to find my own stuff. A lot of people are talking about Wang, yeah. Yeah, he drove to Cleveland, Ohio to save Julie. Yeah. Julie! Smokey Chris does such a good Chris-chan impression, and I think he's going to be streaming at about 9 in like half an hour, like 9:15 Eastern time. I won't be able to watch, but after this stream is over, y'all should go and watch him. Yeah, he killed the Asperchu creators and had all of the Sonichus execute them. Yes, he did. Anime of War asks if I've seen Chris's new tweet. I don't know what that's... I'm going to go with no, unless there's been something like crazy in the last half an hour. I know he tweeted earlier about a bunch of like Pokemon. Like, I think today was a community day, so he went out and did all of that. And he was tweeting about the asylum. He said like, oh, everyone's what was it? I think everyone deserves the right to reproduce. It was something like that because the guy practiced eugenics, and so he didn't want the disabled or the people inside of the asylum to reproduce. So Chris is like, everyone has the right to reproduce. I think it was something like that. But if there's been something newer than that, then no, I have not seen it. OK Record asks, what is my favorite Chris Chan video? It's got to be the one where he introduces himself and he's like, I am here and you are there. All the guys, gals, and of course the ladies, whatever the quote is. I love that video. I used to be able to quote that word for word, but I am very tired right now. Yes, in that comic where Chris killed all the people, he also found the cure for homosexuality. That's amazing. Those were the tweets you're talking about. Cool. Dudes of all teenagers. Yes. Flex Seal. All right. Well, I've talked about all the stuff I wanted to talk about, and now I'm just reading the chat. So I'm probably gonna do this for another 2 minutes, and then the stream will be done for the night. This has been super awesome. I didn't expect nearly as many people to show up. How many people do we have right now? We have 120. That's way more than I normally get, but the chat's going by pretty fast, or at least faster than I'm used to. Do you know the Dragonlord video where he said his address and challenged all the trolls to come to him? No, I did not know that. Oh, here we go. Ahem. Oh, wait, no. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and dudes of all teenagers, as well as, gals. It's so funny. He just covers the same thing like 5 different times. Wasn't the cure to homosexuality his own blood? Yes, it was. He had to travel into the future and donate his own blood so that they could cure homosexuality. And of course, as we all know, someone else pointed this out, that is in fact not how that's not how vaccines work. To give a vaccine, you would have to use like a bit of the virus. So Chris was basically implying that his blood had homosexuality in it, and that they used that to make the vaccine. So I just think that's funny, especially now that Chris is actually, I think he's bi. Well, of course he's married to magi-chan and Mewtwo. Imagine if Chris donated his sperm to a sperm bank and some female unknowingly got it. That would be terrifying, Devilish 413. Wolfman Owl says Dragonlord got his wish. Did someone go to his house and like beat him up? That'd be crazy. Yeah, we do not want Chris Chan 2.0. Please do not breed with Chris. Cursier Amea. I'm married to Blaze the Cat. Wow, that's really cool, Grim Kitty. That's amazing. Chris is a Gabian. Alright, well, this has been awesome. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Hitman Creed. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Florida Man. Thank you, Cat XYZ. Thank you, Dragons Thanos. Ooh, I like Thanos. Thank you, Bright. Thank you, Wolfman Owl. Thank you, everybody who's been here. And make sure that you watch Smokey Chris's stream in a couple of minutes, and I will see you all next time I decide to do this. Goodbye.